Buenos días. Mi nombre es Laura. Good morning. And my name is Laura Radnoff, and I serve gratefully as a member of the Pastoral Care team. My pronouns are she, her. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, California. Welcome to you all on this annual Pastoral Care Sunday. Welcome to everyone on our virtual church campus. Welcome to everyone on our Alluvial Church campus. Welcome to everyone watching the service later on Facebook and YouTube. We are one congregation in many places. Somos una congregación en muchos lugares. Our monthly worship theme for October is courage, and today we will explore the courage and will it takes to live within loss. We acknowledge that our Alluvial Avenue Church campus sits within the traditional homelands of the Yokuts, the past, present, and future stewards of this land. As Unitarian Universalists, we welcome you, no matter your race, culture of origin, age, spiritual background, or religious beliefs. We welcome you no matter your disabilities, the amount of money in your bank account, your level of education, or your neurodiversity. We welcome you if you are lesbian, gay, bi, trans, non-binary, or gender fluid. You are welcome here, with or without documentation. All are welcome here. Todos son bienvenidos aquí. A meaningful part of every Sunday service is our sharing of personal joys, sorrows, gratitudes, and concerns. As Unitarian Universalists, we honor what we feel as well as what we believe. The human experience, your human experience, is the beginning of any religious impulse. So, if you are on our virtual campus, we want to make sure everyone can share in your joy, sorrow, gratitude, or concern if you feel called to share this morning. Just type those now in the chat box and we'll write them down and give them to Tim so he can include them later in the service. If you don't type your personal joy, concern, gratitude, or sorrow now in the chat box, we won't have time to include them. May we now, in the chat box, in person, or in the silence of our hearts, take a moment to say buenos dias and greet one another.
Buenos dias. Mi nombre es Timoteo. My name is Tim, and my pronouns are he, him, his. As October opens before us, let us greet its challenges and its opportunities with mindfulness, love, and courage.
But what are you gonna do to make it happen? To change the way we're living, to change the way we're living here. People are homeless and our children are lost. Families broken apart, living hungry and living in fear of losing everything. We need to change. War in our streets and war across the seas. People are dying, too blinded from all the lying. So tired from crying, trying to survive. We need to change. Oh, we need to change. But what are you gonna do to make it happen? To change the way we're living, to change the way we're living here. Oh, let me tell you, it only takes one voice to make the fire blow high. It only takes your voice to make it right. It only takes our voices to make the fire blow high. So get up out of your seat, we're gonna make a change tonight. And we are part of this world. We all share the same suffering. As we are part of this world, we'll wipe our tears, together we'll stand. Now what are you gonna do to make it happen? To change the way we're living, to change the way we're living here. Oh, let me tell you, it only takes one voice to make the fire blow high. It only takes your voice to make it right. It only takes our voices to make the fire blow high. So get up out of your seat, we're gonna make a change tonight. We're gonna make a change tonight.
That was amazing. Thank you. Bienvenido. Welcome, everyone. My name is Lori Tidyman-Jones, and I'm a member of the Worship Arts team. Mi nombre es Lori Tidyman-Jones. Yo soy miembro del equipo Artes de Adoración. My pronouns are she, her. If you have a candle or chalice at home, if you could bring it close, because we'll be lighting our chalice soon. We have all experienced loss, times that cause us grief. Be it a loss of a job, a spouse, an ability, a friendship, a sense of purpose, so many ways. Many of us are experiencing it in this moment. Today, we light our chalice to remind us that there is hope with loss and after loss, even when we cannot see it in the moment. This is our theme this morning, life after loss. Light illuminates the way for us through the darkness of loss and into a way of growing and being after. Flame warms us in the chill of grief and in the preparation of moving forward. May we all experience this illumination and warmth this morning. Thanks. In that spirit, I didn't read that part. Go ahead and light your chalice at home as well. Now, if you'd all stand together and join us in singing Lean on Me, which is definitely a favorite of mine.
Sometimes in our lives we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please want me, neighbor, if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. You just call on me, neighbor, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, neighbor, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road, I'll share your load. If you just call me, lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
I invite us to remain standing as we do something a little bit different. Usually we do our mission statement, occasionally we do our covenant. Today we're going to do the vision of the Unitarian Universalist Church. So this is what, by doing our mission here and in the world, this is what we hope happens. So please join with me. The vision of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, also known as the ENDS, to transform lives toward compassion, to foster and nurture a welcoming religious community that is intentionally multiracial and multicultural and challenges racist biases and behaviors to create peace, justice, and sustainability in our wider community and world. May it be so. Please be seated. I invite us to take in a deep breath. Breathing in peace, we hold a moment, we breathe out love. And again, a nice centering breath in, we hold a moment, we breathe out love. One last time, breathing together, breathing in peace, we hold a moment, we breathe out love. As we continue breathing together in this space that we make sacred by our intention, our sacred intention to be together, I invite us with our imagination to allow that breath to carry us back over the last 7 days, the last week, a gift of existence that we were given. And as we hold the events and the feelings of the last week, 2 questions to reflect upon. The first, what was draining about the last week? Just own what drained your energy. A second question, what lifted you in the last week? Each week we come together, drained and lifted, filled with joys and concerns, sorrows, and hopefully some gratitude. We create space here as a community to hold all that is alive within us and among us. On the virtual campus, some of us typed into the chat box something that was alive for you this morning that you wanted to share. Also, folks stop at the small table at the entranceway to the church and fill out a card to share. Today, we have a joy from our virtual campus from Deborah. It is a joy being able to see my friends on the Alluvial Ave campus at the start of the service. And also, Christina is feeling joyful that Mary Peltola is now the lone U.S. House seat in Alaska after winning a special election, and she's celebrating because she is from an indigenous tribe. And so we celebrate that. Also from our virtual campus, Christina, concerned that so many women around the world are forced to cover their faces. We also want to acknowledge Hurricane Ian and the havoc in Cuba, in Florida, and in the Carolinas. We hold all those areas and all those inhabitants and all those impacted in light and in love today. We also remember our beloveds, those among us who cannot be here physically, but we join with them spiritually and are connected. We think of Margaret H., Bev F., as she continues her rehabilitation in the Bay Area, sending her much love and light. Denise S., Edith H., William H., Glenda R., Pat M., and Pat will have a visit this week from George and Pat Looney Berman, who will be bringing our thoughts, our love to Pat directly in the form of a bouquet of flowers. We also continue celebrating Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month. October, we're happy to celebrate LGBTQ plus History Month. And speaking of history, on October 2nd, 1967, 55 years ago today, Thurgood Marshall took the judicial oath of the U.S. Supreme Court, becoming the first Black person to serve on the court. Marshall's paternal grandfather had been enslaved, and systemic racism remained widespread when Marshall was born. Also, history, and 55 years from today, someone will celebrate it in a Unitarian Universalist church. Tomorrow, on October 3rd, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson becomes the first Black woman to sit and make discernments on the Supreme Court. As we know, systemic racism remains widespread. So, for all that has been shared, for all that we hold in the sacred silence of our own precious beating hearts, and for all those who on this day have no one to remember them, no one to say their name with gentleness or love, we light this candle of community. By our remembering, may we and they be blessed. We light our second candle. It burns for the over 6.54 million citizens of the world who have lost their lives in this pandemic, 1.06 million of whom are citizens of this country. So, in the light of our candles and in the light of our love that is alive within each one of us, let us join our voices in our call to meditation, Spirit of Life, Fuente de Amor.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice, roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí y al corazón cántale tu compasión. Sopla al volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arráigame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
How beautiful, how fitting it is that into this silence we bring a voice, we bring a presence that represents the caring embrace of this congregation on this Pastoral Care Sunday. A member of that team that helps the most vulnerable among us, and many of us have been helped at some time or another. Laura Radnoff, the Pastoral Care team.
Hello again. I am not the first in my family to serve on the Pastoral Care team. My grandmother Bernadette served there for many years with love, care, and compassion. Her many friends kept her well informed about who might benefit from Pastoral Care services, such as meals, rides, and emotional support. As a child, I helped her carry out the work of the team. I got up early on Sundays so we could give another congregant a ride to church. I helped her prepare Ortega rice casserole for congregants who had recently had surgery. I even helped her select the prettiest flowers from her garden to take to someone in the hospital. And if they were a close friend, we'd often pick out the perfect gift, a pastel velour bed jacket. A Pastoral Care Sunday like this one inspired me to join the Pastoral Care team. The message that caring for the most vulnerable members makes the entire community stronger so inspired me, I ran right out and joined the team. Now I send out greeting cards to people with whom we want to keep in touch. I especially love to pick out just the right card for every recipient and seal it with a beautiful sticker, just the way my grandma did. Reverend Tim calls Pastoral Care a loving embrace of tangible support and hands-on caring that comes from being part of a religious community. A religious community embodied by our chalice, in which the flame represents the light of love and the bowl symbolizes the open hands of compassion. After today's service has ended, please stop by our Pastoral Care team table out in the breezeway. We'd love to meet you and share how you could become part of our church's light of love and open hands of compassion.
In the glow of Pastoral Care and Laura's words, I invite you to join me in a moment of reflection or prayer, followed by the glorious sounds of Merlinda. Let us join together in mindfulness of prayer. These words from the Reverend Burton D. Carley. I preface them by saying one of my favorite Green Day songs is Wake Me Up When September Ends. September has ended, so we better wake up. This is called September Meditation for when the month has ended. I do not know if the seasons remember their history, or if the days and nights by which we count time remember their own passing. I do not know if the oak tree remembers its planting, or if the pine remembers its slow climb towards sun and stars. I do not know if the squirrel remembers last fall's gathering, or if the blue jay remembers the meaning of snow. I do not know if the air remembers September, or if the night remembers the moon. I do not know if the earth remembers the flowers from last spring, or if the evergreen remembers that it shall stay so. Perhaps that is the reason for our births, to be the memory for creation. Perhaps salvation is something very different than anyone expected. Perhaps this will be the only question we will have to answer. What can you tell me about September? May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
Clavo mi remo nell'acqua, llevo tu remo nel mio. Creo que he visto una luz al otro lado del río. El día le irá pudiendo poco a poco el frío. Creo que he visto una luz al otro lado del río. Sobre todo creo que no todo está perdido. Tanta lágrima y yo soy un vaso vacío. Oigo una voz que me llame, casi un suspiro. Rema, rema, rema. Rema, rema, rema. En este orillo del mundo, lo que no expresé es baldío. Creo que he visto una luz al otro lado del río. Y hoy muy serio voy remando, muy adentro sonrío. Creo que he visto una luz al otro lado del río. Sobre todo creo que no todo está perdido. Tanta lágrima y yo soy un vaso vacío. Oigo una voz que me llame, casi un suspiro. Rema, rema, rema. Rema, rema, rema. Clávame remo nel agua, lleve tu remo nel mio. Creo que he visto una luz al otro lado del río, al otro lado del río.
Let's face it, much of the way we deal with loss is taught to us by our family. From my family, white middle-class Brit to the bone, I learned this very well. The messages, displayed emotions are inappropriate. Discussion of sadness is weakness. Look only forward, keep busy, leave people to themselves. Things should remain private. Strength is holding everything back, right? It didn't really ring true to me given my nature, but I followed the example nonetheless by giving friends space when they were experiencing troubles or losses and being fine when I was experiencing the same. It was only much later that I began to follow my own course after watching many of my Latinx friends do things differently. When friends or family experienced losses, particularly in death or illness, everyone showed up, crying and hugs and food abounded. There was a keen sense of solidarity and support. Emotions were accepted. Grief was embraced. To me, this seemed more authentic and healthier, so I slowly attempted, step by step, to incorporate this different approach within my own family. When my father was dying, I made sure we were all there till his last breath. The cousins and grandchildren witnessed a different way of facing loss, with real-time goodbyes, hugs, and tears. This had never happened in our extended family. 3 years later, as my mother began the process of dying, my son and one of my sisters and I watched over her until her last breath, sharing hugs and tears and memories and even laughter. To my surprise, the next day, my son arrived at my door having taken off work to be with me. We do not take time off in this family for bereavement. Our way of experiencing loss was changing, but I didn't include people outside the family, my friends and community. My friends would ask to be a part, but I don't need anything, I'm good, no, really, I'm fine. 2 weeks later, after my mom had passed, I received a call from my niece that her mother, my sister, suddenly passed away at 61 with no warning at all. The grief that poured over me was thick and dark and really heavy. The family wasn't able to be physically together. I was supposed to be at a party with some of my Latina friends when I heard, and I called and canceled. But soon they called back, and they said they were a few blocks away, and they wanted to be there with me, and asked my permission to come, as they knew how I was. After a long pause, I agreed. I let myself cry with them, share my stories, and take in their love. For me, it was a big step in dealing with loss, accepting the reality of grief, opening my heart to others, sharing my sadness and its burden. It felt so comforting and life-affirming. I was not alone. Since then, there have been many other losses, small and large. Yet another boss quitting, physical limitations, that's the aging thing, retiring, another sister passing away, best friends moving away. I've worked at accepting the tight-chested, tear-filled whole of loss. Reminding myself, I feel those things because I have loved and I cared. Sharing those feelings and experience with others in my closer circles and allowing myself to be nurtured. I really believe that this releases some of the pain and loneliness of loss, which allows me to move forward with others by my side. And I'm trying to be that support to others in their losses. This I learned from my Latin family, but I also learned from my Brit side. After a time, though difficult, I need to move my feet, even if it feels like I'm pretending or there's very little energy or commitment. Those tiny steps, that bit of movement that I take so reduces the intensity of the loss. It begins to subside and hope can be renewed. Well, I had finished my reflection 2 afternoons ago, and then life happened. My husband and I got a call that night from a very close family member. His wife's father had suddenly died at home. He had requested that we give them space that night, which we honored. Flight of thoughts flew radically. So young, our age, my heart hurts. Poor kids. How can I help? What would they want? I don't want to make a mistake. Should I go over? Casserole? What about their child? Awake at 3 the next morning, obsessing on how to be supportive, I remembered the process of dealing with loss is messy and challenging and seemingly endless, but it is a part of life. And so we must show up with open hearts and open minds and walk it together till it's okay.
I invite us to rise in body or spirit and join in singing, I Am Willing.
I am open and I am willing to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. There is hurting in my family, there is sorrow in my town, there is panic all across the nation, there is wailing the whole world round. But I am open and I am willing to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. May the children see more clearly, and may the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though they burn our eyes. But I am open and I am willing to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion, and give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder, and give me an ocean to hold my tears. But I am open and I am willing to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change.
Please be seated. Thank you, Bill, vocals, and Leslie. It's always such a joy to have you at the piano and to have your voice. Today's sermon topic was selected by longtime church member Ellis Vance. Ellis was one of 2 winning bids for the sermon topic of your choice during our online auction this past February. Ellis selected the topic, Life After Loss. On November 7th of last year, Ellis's beloved husband of 55 years, Robin, passed into the mysteries of death after a long illness. Robin is mourned. Robin is missed. Yael was going to be a superstar. Everyone knew it. He was destined for greatness. In the mid-sized Midwestern city where Yael lived, he was known as the best sleight-of-hand artist in town. He was young, just turned 20, but he had spent the last 7 years practicing sleight-of-hand moves hours a day, obsessively. His dexterity was astounding. What his fingers, what his hands could do with coins and cards and billiard balls, it took your breath away. Coins appearing and vanishing, cards appearing behind your ear, in your wallet, within sealed envelopes. His goal was twofold: to be the best sleight-of-hand artist in the country, and 2, to have his own solo act in Las Vegas. Everything Yael did was pointed in that direction, and he had total confidence that he could make his dream come true. A few more years of intense and disciplined practice, and he would be skilled enough. What no one anticipated on that early autumn afternoon was a car door opening into the street. What no one anticipated was Yael speeding on his bike, smashing full force into that car door and being tossed head over heels and onto the pavement. The full force of his body weight landed on top of his right hand. And in an instant, Yael's dream was shattered. 5 hand surgeries later, Yael had to accept the stark reality that he had no future as a sleight-of-hand artist in Las Vegas or anywhere. The damage to his hand was too great to reclaim a professional level of dexterity. Yael's loss felt total and complete and unendurable. In her book, Necessary Losses, author Judith Voist writes, "Loss is an encompassing theme in our life. We lose not only through death, but also by circumstances beyond our control. Also, we lose by leaving and being left, by changing and letting go and moving on. And our losses include not only our separations and departures, but our conscious and unconscious losses of romantic dreams, hopes, impossible expectations for ourselves, illusions of freedom, illusions of safety. The losses involving facing the limitations of our power and potential. The losses of relinquishing our dreams of relationships for the human realities of imperfect connections. And the losses, the multiple losses of the second half of life and of our final leaving, letting go. She continues, these losses are part of life, universal, unavoidable. Examining these losses does not make for merry remedies, but to look at loss is to see how inextricably our losses are linked to growth, and to become aware of the ways in which our response to loss have shaped our lives can be the beginning of wisdom. Loss comes in so many forms and experiences, as Laurie stated in her reflection. And as I look out at you in this sanctuary, and I think of those who are on the sanctuary of our virtual campus, I know that all of us have experienced or will experience life-altering changes. And I know some of us have endured life-shattering loss. I'm also aware that in 2022, we are living in a time of massive shared loss. The pandemic upended life as we knew it and created loss on so many levels. Loss of our sense of safety, loss from prolonged isolation, loss of class connections in the classroom. For some, loss of health or livelihood. Some of us are grieving loved ones lost to the virus. Our shared loss reaches beyond the pandemic. We've witnessed the loss of public civility and the advent of false news and armed insurrection. We face the possible loss of democracy. We face unfathomable loss from human-created climate crisis. Just look at the hurricane in Cuba, Florida. Look at the flooding in Pakistan. It's important to also say that BIPOC communities continue to face generational legacies of loss and ever-present ongoing loss perpetrated by white primacy culture. So much loss. We ask, as poet Stanley Kunitz once did, how shall my heart be reconciled to its feast of losses? Poet Ellen Bass writes, when everything you've held dear crumbles like burnt paper in your hands, your throat filled with the silt of it, when grief sits with you, its tropical heat thickening the air, heavy as water, more fit for gills than lungs, when grief weighs you down like your own flesh, only more of it, an obesity of grief, you think, how can a body withstand this? How can a body withstand this? My mom's mother passed into the mysteries of death when my mom was 19 years old, really still a teenager. Mom remembers stepping out of the bedroom where her mother had just died, walking down the steps to the first floor, opening the front door and going out to sit on the front steps. Mom told me it was the most unsettling and awful feeling. Cars were driving by with people going to work as they did every morning. People were waiting at the bus stop, chatting as though nothing was wrong. The paper boy walked by and handed me the newspaper as if my mom's obituary wouldn't be printed in it in 2 days' time. Inside, my mom said, my world had just ended, and outside, everything was the way it always was. I thought, how can I live in this split reality? My friend and my colleague, the Reverend Kim Crawford Harvey, writes, I remember a woman whose husband died, leaving her to raise 2 young sons. Utterly devastated, she went to bed. As she tells it, she might never have gotten up. But she did get up, and there was really no mystery about it. One of the boys came into her room and said, quite simply, Mom, we are out of peanut butter. Reeling with the blow, she determined to stagger to her feet again, and life went on. My dear ones, when have you had to stagger to your feet and make your life go on? "11 years ago, an unexpected and completely unwanted divorce from my husband of 26 years happened. When Jim told me that he was leaving, the future that I had envisioned was just ripped away. And I was looking at only a vast and empty unknown. I was terrified at that vast, that absolutely empty unknown. But the harder I looked, I realized that there were lots of knowns within that larger unknown. There were my dogs, Shadow and Tucker. There was my ministry and my responsibilities to the congregation that I loved. There was jogging, yoga, Broadway. And there was a dear friend who had been through their own divorce and understood without me needing to say anything. Once I became able to name and claim all the knowns that were in there with me, the smaller the unknown became. And I was able to stagger to my feet and make my life go on again. Every person's experience of grieving their losses is unique. Every person's path through the valley of the shadows is their own. There is no map. There is only through. It's a journey. It really is a journey that we make alone. but we can allow companions to walk beside us. We can avoid isolating, although that is so often our impulse. We can talk to others. We can seek a support group, seek a grief group. They're the best. Call a therapist, call a hotline, call a minister. Ask for and use medication. There is no shame in meds, only potential relief. Trust me on that. Someone in their mid-80s told me how she endured the inevitable losses that come from a long life. The secret, she said, is to make sure you have friends who are 10 to 15 years younger than you. That way, she said, the odds are you won't outlive at least a few of your friends. Someone who lost their spouse about a year ago said that being around her grandchildren is key to her not being swallowed up by grief. She says, you can't stay stuck in that deep well of ache and numbness if you have kids around, because there's no way you want to drag them into that place with you. So you let them drag you back into play and laughter and light. The evenings are still long and hard, but the days are lighter with kids around. One elder told me it was the memories. So many good memories over a lifetime that they replayed in their mind's eye, like watching a film over and over. Memories bringing them a sweet and tender joy. Yael, that sleight of hand artist not to be, found his way through his loss when, as his hand healed from his 5th surgery, he volunteered to read the mail to someone who had recently lost their eyesight. Yael says, that gave me perspective quickly. It also gave me something to do, someone to hang out with, and unexpectedly, reading all those New York Times articles to my new friend opened me up to a world of possibilities for what my life might look like next. An elder of the church gave me permission to quote them when I asked them how they held on to life in the face of loss. They said, we need a community of some kind to hold us as we pass through grief. I couldn't do it alone, they said. That's the benefit of a church community. If I drag my butt here on Sunday morning, I'm not alone. If I show up in my Zoom chalice circle, I'm not alone. Everyone asks me, where do I get my strength? And I tell them I get it from you, and you, and you, my church community. The elder continues, my advice to someone younger than me is to make the connections and find the community now, no matter what community it is. Make the connection when you don't need it. Make the friendships now when you don't need it. Get involved now when you don't need it. Then there will be something there when you do need it. And you will, she added. I think that's what Unitarian Universalist minister Robbie Walsh meant when he said, trust the strands of love that bend and stretch to hold you in the web of life that's often torn but always healing. There's your strength, the ground on which we walk together. Dear ones, this takes courage and determination. We do it imperfectly in fits and starts. Living with loss is sometimes like a circular staircase in which we sometimes walk up and sometimes walk down. There are setbacks and small successes. Both lead us into the next day. Perhaps that is how we are reconciled to our feast of losses. Unitarian poet Anne Sexton writes, "If you have endured great despair, then you did it. Getting a transfusion from the fire, picking the scabs off your heart, then wringing it out like a sock. Next, you powdered your sorrow, you gave it a back rub, and then you covered it with a blanket. And after it had slept a while, it woke to the wings of the roses and was transformed." Judith E. Meyer observes, "The work of grieving is a journey back to new life. The wound may be deep. It does not go away. Rather, the wound too becomes part of this new life. It requires a new way of being ourselves. We become life going on after loss and grief. Life going on to new experiences. We become life going on. Que así sea. Bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
Hear it on the wind in the trees. I can hear it in the rain and the river sounds. I hear it when I'm down on my knees, like a song rising up from the sacred grounds, and something like a whisper saying, you don't have to be afraid. You are not alone in this moment. You are not alone in this battle you face. In between the light and the shadows, there are other eyes watching over this place. You won't have to fight this fight all on your own, 'cause you are not alone. You are not alone. I feel it in the grass at my feet. I feel it in the stroke of a gentle breeze. I feel it through the cold and the heat, like a friend reaching out from the mysteries. Something like a whisper saying, you don't have to be afraid. You are not alone in this moment. You are not alone in this this battle you face. In between the light and the shadows, there are other eyes watching over this place. You won't have to fight this fight all on your own, 'cause you are not alone. You are not alone. So before you let yourself give in and sorrows blind you, try to listen as the rain and the river and the wind remind you. You are not alone in this moment. You are not alone in this battle you face. In between the light and the shadows, there are other eyes watching over this place. You won't have to fight this fight all on your own, 'cause you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone.
I feel like I've just been rained comfort. Thanks, Erlinda. So many people in our city, state, country, and world are suffering loss from natural disasters such as wildfires that scorch everything in their path, and hurricanes that bring destruction through winds and water, to human-caused disasters like the collapsing infrastructure that we've seen in Flint. The Unitarian Universalist Association maintains a disaster relief fund, and I did not know this, which provides assistance to help congregations and their communities recover in the aftermath of disasters. Right now, the state of Florida is reeling from the devastation of the Category 4 Hurricane Ian. The death toll is at least 52. 1 million people are without power. Thousands of families are without shelter. The UU congregation of Fort Myers building and campus received significant damage. The minister there says, "We suspect every member of the congregation has experienced substantial loss of income and property. Some have had total losses, their homes and property washed away. Our people will need support for housing, clothing, and basic needs, as well as money for repairs. In response to this great need, we're asking you to support the UUA Disaster Relief Fund by scanning the QR code, as you see on the slide, there, or you can visit uua.org/disaster relief or texting disaster to 51555. Amazing all the ways we can do that, huh? Your gifts at any time to this association during the year allow them to respond flexibly to current disaster needs, as well as to new emergencies as they arrive. In this spirit, please join me in our words of offering. If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who?
Janine, if we could get that slide for just another few seconds. And folks, anybody leaving anything in the baskets on the way out of our Alluvial Avenue sanctuary, any cash, any checks, all of that will also go to the congregations and the Unitarian Universalists who have been impacted by the hurricane. Thank you for your generosity as you're able.
This morning has been a gift for me, a chance to reflect on my own losses and responses to them, and a reminder that this is a place where I can do this. And you are a people whom I can walk this path with vulnerability, authenticity, support, and love. So thank you for that. I hope it's been that for you as well. As we physically extinguish this light, this flame, let's continue to experience its warmth and guidance in our hearts, and the hope that loss is not the end, but the beginning of something new. As we prepare to end our service and enter into our afternoon, please join in our chalice extinguishing words. Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts. To everyone on our alluvial campus and our virtual campus and those watching later on Facebook and YouTube, we love you and cherish you. Tim, I believe you have some reminders before our closing words.
I do, Laurie, but let's take a moment so that we can appreciate you and your worship leadership. So just a few quick reminders. Some of you may be wondering, who is this amazing person on my left? I can see it in your faces. This is Patty Bennett, our Member Services Coordinator and Coordinator of Community Life. Patty's role here in the congregation is to help folks who are new or newish to the congregation move from where this is being a place that you visit to a place where you feel you belong. So before or after the service, and anytime in between, Patty is here to answer questions, help you know what's happening on campus during the week, different programs. Patty is your go-to person. Few other reminders. As we exit, we're going to allow our socially distanced folks to exit first through those doors, and Lori and I will be out in the courtyard there with the receiving line. We hope you'll say hello. Then we invite the rest of you to follow through those doors as well. Outside, beyond those doors, is that amazing thing known as coffee hour. We hope you will caffeinate yourself and be ready for conversation. We especially invite those who are new or newish to the congregation to dare cross into coffee hour. But for that to happen successfully, it means that those of us who are a bit longer term have to actually welcome and talk to those folks who are newer. So my charge to you all this morning out in the courtyard, before you sit down and have a conversation with somebody you already know, have not just a hello, but a conversation, a question with somebody you don't know. Also outside, we have our welcome and question and answer table with our board member, a Board of Trustees member, so that's a good place for new folks to head as well. Next Sunday, this is so important, next Sunday is our annual Blessing of the Animals and Stuffed Animals 2. We invite you on Alluvial Ave campus to bring your leashed or crated animal friends here alive. We will have a piddle patrol, so don't worry. We'll also have stuffed animals brought here live on our virtual campus. You can have your animal friends on your virtual, in your own home, and stuffed animals as well. The kids will be with us for the entire service. It'll be the first time they've done that since the pandemic. Next week, our blessing of the animals and the stuffed animals too. Before one more thing, we have a video reminder, an invitation from Karen on our virtual campus.
Buenos días, familias, amigos y visitantes. I'm Karen Polnitz, your Director of Lifelong Learning, and I'm here to share with you about Chalice Circles. Our Chalice Circles for the 2022-2023 church year are starting up, and we want to invite you to be part of this important small group ministry. Chalice Circles are small groups designed for discussion, reflection, and spiritual deepening. They're a wonderful way for both newcomers and longtime members of the church to connect, to find more meaningful conversations, to form meaningful relationships with other folks, and to explore your own spiritual journey. But don't take it from me. Hear it from a few of our congregation members and friends who have been part of Chalice Circles.
My name is Fox Christensen, and I have been a member here for 4 years. The most important reason I think that you should join a Chalice Circle, and my favorite reason, is because of the people that you meet. I love the people that are in my Chalice Circle. They lift me up. They always make me feel better if I'm feeling a little blue. They are just lovely human beings, and I can't imagine my life without them in it.
Good day, Jim Kernan here. You get to meet other church members at a really deep level that you just don't get to know them being at church or at coffee hour. So it's very, very interesting, and for me, this is a part of my spiritual journey. And I would like to encourage you and welcome you to give us a try.
Hi, my name is Anna Simonian. My pronouns are she, her. This is Robbie. I have grown so close with the members of my Chalice Circle during the pandemic, during the fires, during the political upheaval. It has been a safe place for me to grow spiritually and to connect. I just love my Chalice Circle, and we have had deaths, we have had births, we have had sorrows, happinesses, joy. It's just been a very wonderful thing.
And there will be a table outside where you can get more information on how to join a Chalice Circle. You can join on our virtual campus as well as Alluvial Ave. Last but not least, we'd like to welcome folks who are visiting us for the first, second, or third time. If this is your first, second, or third time, we invite you to rise right now for just a moment. Don't worry, we won't leave you standing alone for long. So if you're feeling brave, yay, welcome, 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 welcome. I invite the rest of the congregation to rise with them for our closing words, and then we'll rock out with our sung benediction. Our closing words are from Gene M. Olson, adapted. If you came with a pod, you can join hands. If you're here on your beautiful self, just place your hands on your heart. May you speak your deepest truths, knowing that they will change as you do. May you love even though your heart breaks again and again. And until the end of your days, may your life be filled with possibilities and courage. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
May we have safe passage, safe passage. May we have safe passage on our way. Safe passage on your way, wanderers, safe passage on your way.
and assalamu alaikum.